Good morning, guys. Almost afternoon. Good afternoon. Pleasure to meet you all. Um, Glad y'all could be here. Let's see here. Let me just get into this, and I'm gonna get everything set up kind of how I want it to be. Oh yeah, I landed yesterday and crashed my plane. I forgot. So. That's what I'm talking about right here. 137,000 credits. I mean, it's a 2-hour flight though. It's a 2-hour flight, guys. Just imagine that. 2 hours up in the air. If I could get my fucking shit set up, it just might be a little bit smoother. Damn, 23 nautical miles winds. Oh, visibility 23 nautical miles. Let's look at our flight plan here real fast, see what our income is. It's probably gonna be the same kind of. Let's do a left direct approach. Let's see how that's looking. That's gonna be a little bit better. We just come straight into it, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Save. Send to ATC and AV. Please note the VFR variants and cannot be synchronized with the avionics. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll get that out of there. I need 132 pounds of fuel, it's saying. We're gonna accept this one. This is a good mission. 137. If I do the whole flight myself, I'll get extra money that way as well. So we're gonna do the whole flight. The thing is we need something to watch while we're on this. So it's a 2-hour flight. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch some ninjas and butterflies. Unfortunately. Not, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but look at that flight plan. I like it. Let's accept this mission, get this going here. This is a long flight, y'all. A really long flight. Only need 132 pounds. I got 200. I could go down a little bit more just to help with the weight of the plane. It's not that big of a difference though, is it? Let's just get down to 170. I got 170 pounds of fuel. Might be cutting it close. We'll see though. Okay. Let's do it. And then I want to be able to have display capture. Maybe a window capture. Okay, one more. Let's just get into the plane real fast. Get all of this sorted out. I always sit back a little bit like this.
Hi there. It's Andy. Now that you're all set up, let me go over the important details with you. You have loose goods behind you. Time-critical shipment for our client
I
site.
do.
Expected in no time at Denton. The skids have
Didn't.
high tolerance with turbulence, but make sure you keep the delivery smooth and on time.
So I get this up, guys. We're gonna be playing this. No. Browser. Maybe this is what I'm looking for. No. Cancel. Remove. Yes. Okay. So I'll turn on the desktop audio so y'all can hear this. I just don't want it to be too loud.
Well, hey, welcome, Tony.
Tony Merkel in the house!
From the confessionals. Confessionals.
Just reminds me of the Usher song.
I've toyed with changing the name of the show for years.
Really?
Mathis ground.
Yeah.
Cessna
I
November
can't now.
11225 with Romeo. Request taxi for takeoff. North departure.
Let me get up in the air real fast. How about that? And then we'll listen to this together. Okay.
Cessna 225. Acknowledge last transmission.
Taxi 2 and hold short runway 18 via taxiway. Charlie cross runway 9 or Charlie. Cessna 225.
Fuck, I fucked my course selector up. Get this out of the way real fast. Alrighty. Let's just get back on the fucking shit, huh? Alrighty. I like the orange and red. What do y'all think? Because this is a 2-hour flight. I got 43% fuel. Let's just get to the end of the runway real fast.
Mathis Tower, Cessna November, 11225 at runway 18, ready for departure. Departure to the north.
Cessna November 11225. Altimeter tree 000. Departure to the north approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 18.
Cleared for takeoff runway 18, Cessna 225.
This is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Can you see it okay and everything? I'm flying up to near Denton. Alrighty, good. Glad you can see it. Yeah. All this is real controls. It really does stuff. I think
Cessna 225. Continue for north departure.
Mathis Tower, Cessna November 11225. Continue for north departure.
just in case I'm ever in a situation where I need to fly the plane, you know. Yeah, I've flown over the house and stuff too. It's real Google Earth and everything, and see all those planes? Those are real planes. If you look on that little map that I brought up below my camera. I need to move my stuff around so it's a little bit better visible, but you can see a few of them. Like all these planes all around me are real planes. No, not like the apocalypse, for like when I'm famous and stuff, you know, you always gotta fly somewhere. Yeah, it gets blurry. It'll get better. So just really gotta just stay on my little flight line right here. You know, really a good service right now. I don't know if it's something that you could do or not, but something that I've seen people been doing is is cleaning the inside of planes, and they get paid big money. You know, I used to do that, clean the inside of planes at the airport. G2 staffing. Clean the planes off whenever they landed and everything, reposition the little pamphlets in the back and all that. So just gonna stay on this flight plan that we have here. I'm gonna have to look up again all the other stuff for it, because I'm kind of wondering. I mean, we're pretty high up here right now.
225, leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Right? I wonder what this is doing. Thought it was changing something earlier. Oh, there we go.
Cessna 225, did you hear my last transmission?
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you, lady.
Mathis Tower, Cessna November 11225.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You'll see. It's a 2-hour flight right now, so we're gonna put on some ninjas and butterflies and just kind of sit back and hopefully not crash. So let's get this playing. Can you hear this good? Just audio.
Tell their stories. They're sharing something intimate when they're confessing. The confessionals. It's a great show. Yes. And ever since then, I was thinking, well, now everybody thinks I'm Catholic. So.
Catholic audience.
I mean, if you don't know what it is, you're just like, why would I want to listen to a Catholic podcast?
You were a truck driver before, right?
Yep, it's from Philly area. Philly area.
For how long?
Well, I started driving the CDO when I was 21.
Wow.
I think I started on school buses, and I kind of went back and forth between that and straight trucks, and I coached college basketball for a while. I took a break from driving, and then I went back into driving, and I went full bore, tractor trailer, and all that.
Straight trucks. What's a straight truck?
Like a box truck.
Okay.
Yeah, like 26, 28 foot. Yeah. Doesn't bend in the middle.
Trucks out there.
Yeah.
Now that I know of them, I see them everywhere. They're just curved trucks.
I've never spotted these before.
Oh man.
I did miss it when I first got out of it, but now I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. Well, hey, welcome. We're over here. You
Yo,
just landed
yo,
an hour ago.
Yo, we're not putting autopilot on.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, you. Can you hear the audio of the podcast?
We're doing a roundtable
Or is it not
discussion on Nephilim, I think. Me, Glory Boys, and Troy Brewer.
Dang.
Yeah.
loud enough?
That's the pastor, right? From Texas.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because I was going through like my stuff that I like share, like save for all the podcast topics to go into, and I saved this one cowboy who witnessed a giant. And then I go up and I look him up on his name, and then it literally dropped that day, the Glory episode. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the guy that was just on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super interesting story.
Yeah.
I started listening because so recently I've been like walking or running in the morning, like when it's still like really dark outside, and my neighborhood's just I don't know, has a vibe. It's really creepy, and I started listening to that episode, and I'm like, not yet. This is so scary. Just talking about like Nephilim and like just creepy stuff.
Yeah, he's seen a lot of stuff. So he goes around the world fighting trafficking, and along with that comes some serious spiritual warfare. So he's been on the front lines of it, and it just seems like everywhere he goes, there's stuff happening around him. I mean, I met him at NRB in Texas earlier this year, and I'm standing there talking to his son, who's like, yeah, we were I forget somewhere, I think off the coast, out like in California or something, and we were walking this trail, and we saw these mermaids down in the water. I was like, what? And then he's like, yeah, we got a video of it. Hey, Dad, and he brings up, and I'm like, I'm looking at this video of like, it looks like a human in the water dips down, and this fish tail pops up, and it's just gone. And I was just like,
they filmed
What?
they
it.
filmed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, that's a treat.
What? Mermen can't swim anymore?
Well, speaking of treats,
This is a real 2-hour flight, by the way. So
We have a treat for you.
buckle up.
we'll just come up with something real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel inspired.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good.
All right.
You got a genre?
Tony, you got a genre in mind?
Country.
All right.
Okay.
Country.
Yeah, let's do it.
Super country. All right.
When I was just a kid, I pooped in the big pool. I did it just for fun, yeah, I thought it would be cool. I once prank called my boss, I said I was his wife. Told him I'm a frog and I have been that my whole life. I committed treason, I know it was a crime. Sold government secrets just in my downtime. These are my confessions. The truth is my profession.
Yeah.
Sharing my transgressions.
That's what I'm talking about, guys.
These are my confessions. I committed tax fraud and blamed it on my dad. He ended up in prison, said it was real bad. His cellmate's name was Sally, a victim of assault. He really beat him badly and it was all my fault. These are my confessions. The truth is my profession. Sharing my transgressions. These are my confessions. I tell you all of this to get it off my chest. And if I had more time, I'd tell you all the rest. These are my confessions.
It's like a country rock. I love it. Like a country rock fucking twist.
Sharing my transgressions.
You know what I'm saying?
These are my confessions. Confessions.
Confessions, 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 confession, my confessions. Bro, straight banger, bro. Straight fucking banger of a
You
song.
use that for your podcast as your opening song?
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah.
Do I need to give credit though?
Nah.
No.
Okay, good. Good.
No, just
good.
royalties.
Just royalties. That's what I was gonna
That was
say.
a pretty good country song.
That was, I mean, if you look up country in the dictionary, you're going to find that song.
That was dead on genre.
I
Absolutely.
think country's a little genre fluid right now.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, you got
Very, yeah.
Beyonce and Post Malone
Yeah.
singing country. Come on,
Why
what are
not
we talking
ninjas?
about? Yeah. Why not?
Ninjas.
Why not?
We don't discriminate here.
Yeah.
Well-
you know we do discriminate towards Andrew.
Me?
Sometimes.
Hold up, I gotta get in the cooler in the back of the plane. Hold up.
And we're really glad you're here. And we're going to talk about some really cool stuff, really neat stuff, I think.
I can't wait to hear what he's got going on.
Yeah, we might even talk about some spooky stuff.
I'm down for it.
But we got to get past this question first. So every week, Tony, we get a viewer that sends in a question, and it's really not fun.
But we have to do it.
But we have to do it. It's our obligation, Tony. I'll just get on with it. Today's question sent in by a viewer. Tony, is confession important?
Alright, man, I'll be here.
I would say, biblically, yes. Podcasting, yes.
Okay.
It's a yes or no. We get where you're stepping in, and it stinks.
I'll be here for 2 hours.
A little uncomfortable.
Even if it's not true, Tony. Even if someone is coerced into this confession and they didn't even commit the crime.
Yep.
You know how many people are locked away
Falsely accused?
Falsely accused? And you're like, yep.
Yep.
Actually, he said it was biblical?
He's laughing about it.
Yeah, innocent people going to jail. That's biblical.
Tony.
Let me look it up in, I can't find it.
It's not in there, Tony. It's not in there. Golly. I don't even know what to do. Do we move on?
I mean, we could just call it right now if we want.
Tony?
We could just call it.
I mean,
That's enough. We've heard enough. Honestly, this is sick. I'm sick. I'm sick.
Don't get sick.
It's a bummer you had to fly all the way out here.
I guess I gotta move on.
Sorry, bud. All right, well, I guess that's the end of the show. Welcome to the show.
Did I say ninja? I meant
Butterfly.
the butterfly is no doubt one of God's
That's an empty line.
If it's too loud, guys, just let me know. I will turn this down a little bit right here on this end. I can hear it pretty good,
Wait,
but
a little bit
I don't know if y'all
A
can.
little bit of housekeeping. If your mustache doesn't get ripped by the mic at some point in the podcast,
closer?
yeah, you're
Okay.
a little too far.
No, that's fine. I usually eat the microphone, but
I'm here for it.
I wasn't sure.
One day we need to swap these out for cakes.
Yeah.
Cake or microphone.
Is it cake or microphone?
That's the whole vibe.
Oh, well, welcome again, Tony.
I appreciate you
We're
guys.
psyched you're here, man.
Sorry for the
It's been
gaslighting.
a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, almost a year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was BlurryCon.
Oh, yeah.
It was so
We
fun.
were invited to BlurryCon. I don't know what we're doing there, though.
I think they just want us to invite us just to
Just walk around.
be the vibe.
Yeah.
Set the vibes.
Just walk around.
Be the vibe.
Dude, we're set the vibe, be the vibe.
I wonder if they'll have us do another song.
Yeah, you guys did some
Pride
last year, right?
We do.
People
I-
are
I
so
screwed-
weirded out by
I
that.
screwed up. For one, people are there because like they're intelligent people coming out giving this like full on like keynote speeches, and
Yeah.
then they're like, these are the guys from Ninjas, and everyone's probably going, what wisdom are they about to convey? And then I don't have a monitor, and I'm nervous, so I just start rushing the song, and they can't hear the guitar. Like the whole thing is rushed.
It worked out.
botched.
I think it was great. I
But-
think we should do slam poetry this time. Like Nephilim? What about Nephil-her?
Dude, let me
just like full on.
let me get a drum kit and I'll just play like a beat for you to go on.
It's so fun.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm kind of out of place at times because I was talking to Timothy Alvarino about this. Every time I go to these conferences and I share.
Did someone just turn off the
Yeah,
lights?
somebody just popped in here, turn off lights.
How would they do that?
I don't know.
What just
He
happened?
just opened the door.
Who did
I
that?
thought I was having a
He looked like a
stroke.
nice guy. He looked threatening. That's why I didn't care.
Oh, it's probably my brother.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he tried to do the on-air sign. Maybe he flipped it on.
I thought it was like, set the vibe.
I really thought I was dying. I'm like, am I passing out?
Josh! Come back to us, Josh!
Sorry, Tony. What were you saying?
No, I was just
Oh,
I
God,
used to
it's
feel
good.
self-conscious about it because people would say, come to this conference and speak, and I'm like, I'm not a researcher. I'm just story time with Tony. Like this is what we do, And Timothy Alvarino kind of made me feel more comfortable. He's like, that's your zone though. Like that there's actually a spot for that.
Yeah.
So
What a guy.
yeah, I mean that's me relaying the message to you guys too. There's
Yeah.
there's room for you guys as well.
Dude, that's an Alvarino proverb, dude.
Yeah.
there you go.
Alvarino. I love Alvarino.
Is he gonna be here this year?
I don't know. Actually,
I think.
That would be so fun.
I don't know.
he was there last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We tried to talk to him at the after party. We thought he was so cool.
We
He was
really tried to
unapproachable.
We tried to get him to jump in the pond with us.
And he's like, no.
It's freezing cold in the middle of a dark
Come
pond.
on, Tim.
He just moved on. He's really like, no,
Yes.
I don't know who these guys are.
You guys can do it.
Oh.
Josh, you know what doesn't belong in their summer plans?
Well, I don't know. Maybe discovering that your family doesn't exist and that this is all a dream.
Almost, but really getting burned by your old wireless bill.
Oh, yeah, that too.
While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your phone bill should be the last thing holding you back, everybody. That's why I made the switch to Mint Mobile.
With Mint, you get the same coverage and speed you're used to, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, but for way less money.
And all their plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. Plus, you can bring your own phone, keep your number, and all of your contacts.
And right now, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for just $15 a month.
What?
That means while your friends are sweating over surprise changes and overages, you'll be chilling, literally,
Because
great.
I'm
I
at
was just talking with one of our producers. He switched
36%
to
fuel
Mint Mobile, and
already.
honestly, he says he doesn't miss his old provider one bit. Same quality service, but his wallet feels a lot
I'm not
lighter.
even that far into
Really
the
good
trip.
This year, Skip, breaking a sweat and breaking the
I
bank
hope I
with
make
this
it.
new customer
I
offer
hope
and
we
free
don't
mobile unlimited
crash.
wireless plan
I
for
hope
just
this is a
15 bucks a
successful
month
trip.
at
It's worth a lot of money.
mintmobile.com/ninjas. That's mintmobile.com/ninjas.
Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15.
We're
Limited time free customer
166
offer,
nautical
and
miles
50
out.
only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Thanks, Mint Mobile.
We could probably just cruise back on the engine here.
Faith's favorite?
Here's my favorite.
Let's cut back on that.
You're my no. Why would I
We'll
say
lose a
that? I don't
little
know.
bit of height,
They're not our savior. They're great,
but
not our
we
savior.
might save a little
They
bit of
are
fuel
great. They have
doing
saved
that.
me a lot of money.
We're still in the green on the fuel, but it's gonna take us down about 500.
Well, Tony, what got you into the confessionals? What got you into the paranormal space?
Yeah, you know it's funny. On the way over here, we rented a car, a Turo car, and the guy who owns it, he's like, "Can you guys give me a ride back to?" It's like, okay, yeah, sure, you know.
That's so weird.
I know. And then, but he asked me that very question, and then he found out I was from Philly, and he cut off that part of the conversation. He's like, "So you're an Eagles fan, huh?" And I was like, "Okay, I see where this is going," because he was Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, I was driving tractor trailer in Philadelphia, and you know, it was one of those things where you, like, I went to Bible college probably over 20 years ago now, and I didn't finish, and I always felt like there was a call on my life, but I knew it wasn't to be a pastor of a church. And I just kind of settled into life, tried a bunch of different things, very entrepreneurial, failed at all the businesses I started, all of them, you know. So I got two of my guys over here that I employ. I think they're just counting down when this one's failed too. But I was driving my truck one day, and I for the life of me, I can't remember exactly if I was praying or not. But like when you're driving a truck, you just spend a lot of time with God, and just like
A lot of alone time.
sometimes you're not even like actively praying, but it's just the presence of the Holy Spirit is just with you, and
You're just
sometimes
talking.
it pops messages to you, you know.
If you don't know about the Holy Spirit and
And I
just
really felt
being
the Holy
there
Spirit tell
alone
me,
and just
I was driving down Germantown Pike, and he said, "You're gonna start a podcast, and you're gonna work alongside a guy named Wes Germer from Sasquatch Chronicles." And I had listened to that podcast, but I didn't know who Wes was. I never talked to him.
Wow.
And probably it was about a month later, I went home that night and I told my wife, because I was kind of like, I'm still in the mode, you know, where if I feel that God's telling me something, I tell my wife, and I tell my guys now, but like back then it was just her. And I went home that night and told her, and I just said, you know, I'm just letting you know, so whenever it happens, you know, because like at that point it's just like I was at a point in my life where I really felt like when God spoke to me, I really felt the Holy Spirit speaking to me. I was like, it's not even a question if it's gonna happen, you know. But I had zero desire to do this because I was trucker Tony. That's what I was settled into. I just wanted to drive truck and love my wife. I didn't have any kids, but there was this like emptiness in me just driving down the highway by yourself. I was like, I am meant for more. I just don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And the idea of podcasting was like, nah. But a month goes by, and I back my trailer in at the dock at work. It's about 8:30 at night, and Facebook Messenger was ringing, and it was Wes Germer, and he was calling me.
Wow.
And so I answered.
You never reached out to him?
No.
Oh, man.
No. I had a Facebook group called Pennsylvania Sasquatch Research. I was listening to these podcasts because I was into the Bigfoot topic, and I heard people saying Bigfoot in Pennsylvania. I was like, yeah, okay. And so I started this group thinking if I could find like 20 people in Pennsylvania that I could learn from with Bigfoot, right? And turned into, they were like 1,000 people were in there, and they were all asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've never seen the thing. You're saying you saw it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think he found me in there. But he called me, and the first thing he says to me, he's like, "Hey, have I ever had you on the show to tell your Bigfoot encounters?" Like, I don't have a Bigfoot encounter, man. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he just shifts topics, and we just start talking for like 45 minutes. And in that first conversation, he goes, "You know, I think you'd be a good podcaster." And I was
Wow.
like, all right, you know?
That's dope.
Yeah. And so he's like, "I'll help you start it." He's like, "I'll tell you what to get and stuff as far as equipment goes." And we were off and running. So
Dang.
yeah.
How long ago was that?
January 19th, 2017, we dropped the first episode.
Wow,
Every week since then, we put something out. Yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah. So it's been a wild journey, and the show's kind of evolved over time. It really started out strong with experiences and people, coming on and sharing. And I would talk to people, from all walks of life. I mean, I didn't make it a secret that I was a Christian, but I would get emails from people that were witches to Satanists, and I'm like, that's a crazy story. Let's talk about it, And the more I learned, about everything as far as the depths of this realm of the supernatural realm, the more I couldn't help but connect some dots. And the more I started connecting dots, the more I was faced with this decision. Because in the beginning and stuff, I didn't want to be fake, and I was faced with a decision throughout the process of the show several times where it's like, do you keep going down the path you're going and pretend you don't know certain things, or do you literally allow the information that's coming in, adjust the way you think, and also project a different message with the people on the show? And I really battled with that about a year or two ago when that transition started happening again. And I just was like, if I forget what verse it is in the Bible, but Paul talks about if you feel convicted about something, whether it's right or wrong in the eyes of people, if you feel convicted about it, it's a sin if you do it. And that's why I was like, I felt really convicted that I needed to really start speaking my mind on certain things when it came, especially the UFO stuff and the spiritual aspects of it. I really just had this conviction that if I don't follow this conviction, I'm not gonna be able to live with myself.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of went into it, and God's blessed it. God's blessed it. I mean, it's been a wild ride over the last 8 going on 9 years. So
yeah, you think about how many podcasts are out there, and it's like you can definitely see God's blessing in that. And it's interesting that it's like such a weird and strange topic.
Yeah.
But God's like, go in this direction, because we feel that blessing as well. Like, like we're like, wow, this is weird that God has us on this path, but we just got to embrace it and just go for it. I think that's awesome.
Isn't it crazy? Because like, I don't know how you guys felt, but when this started happening for me, I was like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, he literally puts his call in my life, and all I cared was hearing people's Bigfoot stories, and he tells me I'm going to work with Wes, and Wes in one of our first conversations says, don't do what I did. Don't name your show after a specific thing. You should do everything. And so the confessionals, and we just do everything. But people are saying, I had this, I don't know, like this alien abduction UFO experience, and I was like, cool, not interested. Like back then I was like, I wasn't even interested in the UFO topic. I talked about it, but I was like, this doesn't tickle me,
Yeah.
But it was just like, I'm back there in 2017 seeing things unfold, and then in October, I think it was, in 2017, it was when the first disclosure started happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's timely, And then when I look back and see what God has done, not just through the confessionals, but all these other platforms he's been raising up over the last 8 to 10 years, it's like clear that he's been raising up people for this time. That's how I truly feel about it. I don't think this is an accident that there are so many other podcasts out there that are touching on these topics in their own way as well. You know, like there are people who are so smart, and they're doing these deep dive research rabbit holes and sharing the information with the world. Like I really feel like we just have all our own parts in this, and it's all pouring back to the glory of God, which is just, it's been awesome to see over the last few years.
Yeah, it's almost like what you said. It's like we're living in the times where stuff is going to start getting crazy, so it's like kind of exposing it before it can just deceive the many, So you said the alien deception and like you feeling convicted. Like what was the conviction that you felt with the whole alien topic?
So I'm not a genius with a lot of the topics, but I can walk in a room and tell you it stinks, and it's I started seeing,
what do you think about this room?
It's a little musty, but it wasn't too bad.
All right, cool. All right.
There's a lot of butts on this couch,
Yeah.
But I started seeing the spiritual aspect of it, where people
I forgot how to set my
spiritual experiences with UFO, and
heading.
they're actually having these experiences, and you start hearing people's retelling of these experiences, and they're coming from different perspectives as far as theology goes, Christian, non-Christian, and it seems like, you know, I started seeing this whole CE5 stuff happening. This is kind of more of the current stuff that I've been really convicted on. I'd say probably since like fall of last year, I made a very specific decision. I was going to not be quiet about certain things, and let me just say that's hard for me because I'm from Philly, and I kind of get a little hot-headed. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't like debating people, and I don't like controversy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, when you are insulting my God, like, I can't just sit here and let it happen and say, oh, well, that's your opinion, especially when you're building up a following.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started seeing people, you know, calling these UFOs in and having whole parties out on beaches, and they're praying to the sky and thanking the sky for this thing to come in. And then you start learning some of the details, and one gentleman starts saying that this entity that's been visiting him is actually the Holy Spirit. It's the ancient goddess Hathor, and he's got a bunch of people who are following him, and even Christians are, because they get caught up in the nuance of, like, you know, he has a background of.
You're talking about Chris Bledsoe?
Yeah, I didn't know if you want me to say the name or
Let's
not.
say it, because I mean,
Yeah.
I've mentioned him before. I don't know if I've ever said him by his name, but yeah, what he's talking about is crazy deceptive.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, his experience, I've gone through the book, and like I said, I'm not a student of his whole story, but I've gone through the book. I believe he's had these experiences.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
think he's setting out to deceive the world. I think he is deceived.
Yeah.
And I think that when you... So
I
one of the
messed
things that
something
sticks out
up
in my
here,
head
guys.
is
I don't know
I
exactly
heard
what
that
it
he
is,
said that,
but
you know, he was told that he was being watched since he was a child. Almost like the idea was that he was picked for this, like he was special. And the reality is, all of us are watched since we were children. Like Heiser talked about how since
yeah, I
they
need to
were
turn
born,
autopilot
there's
off.
an enemy out there that's seeking our destruction. And, like, are we gonna take that literal?
My
or not?
autopilot
Because
is
if that's
fucked,
true, then there's an
honestly.
enemy out there that's looking for every opportunity to deceive us and move us away from God. And
141
at the end of the day,
nautical
like,
miles out,
I feel like
33%
we
fuel.
grew up with this mindset of, you know, Satan wants us to worship him, and that's the battle. I think the battle is taking our attention from Christ.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
We.
Like at the end of the day, he doesn't care what you worship. You can worship a rock as long as you're not worshiping Christ. It doesn't matter to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's about our attention. And I think that people like Chris have been deceived, and they have, dare I say, a cult following, and it's growing, and they're passionate. You say something bad about him, like, I promise you, I'm not going to visit your comment section. I highly suggest you don't after this. So,
Yeah,
we're,
I mean,
we're used to it.
yeah, I mean, you do everything with discernment, right? And like, his story, it sounds so deceiving. Like, he is in fact being deceived, and you also have to question the government involved in his story as well.
Yeah.
You know, like, the government is super interested in his story. It was like NASA.
Yeah, I'm learning right now.
Do you want to, like, kind of give like a little like a Spark Notes version of?
Yeah, and I'm going to give a very Spark Notes version because there's a lot of detail in it that I always get backwards and stuff, and I'll get hammered for it. But essentially, he, as an adult, had an experience where him and his son, and I think his employees, went out fishing on the beach one night, I think it was, and something happened. Maybe he went to go for a walk. He was suffering from, I believe it was Crohn's disease, and he went for a walk or went to use the bathroom or something. He had an experience, an interaction with this UFO that essentially abducted him. But in the process of this, there's multiple witnesses. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think this is not happening.
Yeah.
His son went to go look for his dad because his dad kind of just was gone. And his son saw something completely different than what his dad saw. So while his dad, I guess, was abducted, there were these beings that were in the woods or on a path that were standing there. And I think his son was hiding in a bush or something away from them for hours. And this was an hour ordeal. And when he finally came back, he had no recollection that he was taken. The people were like, where were you? And they didn't know where his son was. That started this whole progression of interactions with these beings.
Like they visited his house and like were flying in his yard and
What?
like coming up inside his house at one point or
I-
something. They talked about like a shadow figure in his room or something.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with this stuff, it's inevitable it will come into the house.
Yeah.
I don't like.
But you invited
I mean,
in, you
just
know?
with what I do with the conversations I have, I go through a lot of spiritual warfare, and we've had some weird things happen in our house. And you know, for me, like we just bathe that in prayer. My house is oily, you know. No Diddy.
Yeah.
But it's like I just anyway, so yeah, I mean it's a very complex story, but essentially it comes to the point where he's interacting with this one entity. It's a female entity, and she has said that to him that she is basically the Holy Spirit. And I think during a hypnosis session or a regression session is when it was revealed that she identified herself as Hathor. So, you know, people can say, well, you can't trust hypnotists and things like that, whatever. But the reality is that he has a female deity that is in communication with him, identifying herself as the Holy Spirit. And also, from what I understand, I'm connected with people who do like the deep dives, and they like kind of talk back to me about it and stuff. But from what I understand, he now I'm drawing a blank of what I was going to say.
No, you're good.
But
He was healed of his Crohn's disease as
He
well
was,
from
yeah.
this encounter.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
But he was given like prophecies about like what was gonna happen in the future, and like, but now I mean he has this huge cult following, and they meet out on beaches and stuff, and he brings in these orbs, like to
What?
people
Yeah,
to
and
like
the-
and
Like, so my question would be, if like as a non-believer of what's going on there, if I were to go and witness, are there like people who say like this stuff isn't real, but then they show up and see it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to
yeah.
make
So
of that.
it's almost like on demand. I've never gone, but from what I understand, it's like on demand. Like he can go out there and instantaneously, like I don't want to say instantaneously, but over a period of time, he's talking to this guy or he's praying or whatever, and these things do show up. These lights show up, and you know, I think they believe that they're angels. And I would say, what kind of angels are we talking about here? You know?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the book that you were reading?
Yeah,
and then
UFO.
you had to stop.
yeah, it
UFO
was-
God.
Yeah, UFO God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And I think he talks about how these have to be good angels. They can't be the rebelled angels because the rebelled he uses Jude 1:6, saying that they're locked up, and so any interaction that he has
So-
is good angels because
In my opinion, though, you know, the devil knows the Bible from, you know, front to back, and it will use scripture for any argument. Just a thought before I crash the plane, huh?
if the bad angels are locked up. But I mean, if you continue to read and stuff, it specifically defines which bad angels are locked up. It's the ones that transgressed and, you know, procreated with women. You know, like it's a very specific
Nephilim.
thing. And so I think that, you know, it's just a dangerous. It's
What
a
they
dangerous
created,
world that
Nephilim.
we're now
Whoa, what?
living in when it comes to
Come
this
on now.
spiritual stuff.
What was that?
And
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you look
so,
like you have
I'm so
questions.
confused how people can think that, like, did Jesus not cast out demons?
mm-hmm.
So, like, what's the response then?
I do not know.
And
Yeah.
people are just like, oh, okay, there's a verse for it, and they
Yeah.
just accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I was talking. I saw your face. I was like, he's thinking
I was like,
something.
it's that simple. How are people? The thing that I can't connect in the story is like there are people out there all the time who are like, let's just say everything is fake. Like even the people say, I don't believe they show up, they see the orb. Let's say all of it's made up, and it's just some narrative. People either having fun or being weird. Why is NASA? Where did they come in? Like, why do they give a rip about this
Yeah,
story?
his story got out, right? And then he just started getting visits from like politicians, government officials, NASA, and they've questioned him, they've done studies on him, and they've witnessed him bring in these orbs. And so,
They have videos of this?
yeah, he
And
posts almost daily on his Instagram about these orbs in his yard.
And the thing is, like, he's not unique in this either. There's plenty of other people who are doing this. I mean, Stephen Greer has CE5. Like, he takes people out and shows them and teaches them how to do this. Years ago, before I even heard of
Chris, or I've heard of Greer, but you know, I was just starting this stuff. I had a guy in New York that said he could do similar things, and he sent me a video. He was in New York City. It was a clear blue sky day, and he said, "I'm going to make that one white cloud disappear," and within like a minute, it just dispersed into nothing.
What?
And like I was like, "Whoa," you know, like I was like, I mean. Okay, maybe there's an explanation to that, but at the same time, like he literally just said that within a minute, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, all right, you know. So, but there's a lot of people who do this stuff, and I just think that there needs to be an appropriate response. And I'm not saying I'm the one that should be the appropriate response. I'm not an authority in anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of yell a lot and point at things. I'm like, that's bad. Why?
Yeah.
Go talk to somebody that's smarter than me, but that's bad, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's been going on for a long time, and you know, we're living right now in a world where humanity's in this shift, and we can see it, and we can't even deny it. Like, we're spiritual beings, and we've been created to worship an eternal God, and for generations,
Amen.
we've lived in a culture that has separated us from that desire through atheism. And so it's like,
And it's in
like
everything.
when you go on a fast for an entire week, after that week, all you want to do is gobble whatever you see. You want to eat it up, and that's where humanity's at right now, as far as I'm concerned. They're spiritually starving, and they're eating whatever tastes good, whatever gives them immediate results, whatever feels good, because we've been also conditioned over the last 20 years. Your truth is your truth. My truth is my truth. Do what feels good. So like you're conditioned to just eat what tastes good, and the message of Christ is hard. It's easy, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it seems so simple until you have to walk this out. You know, and it's like it may not be the most flashy of things. You're not calling things out of the sky. You actually have to rely on Jesus Christ as your authority in your life and actually submit to something. But I think that's where we're at right now, and you're seeing with the TikTok stuff, the kids. I mean, the whole witch talk stuff is really, I mean, billions of views of kids diving into witchcraft on TikTok.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But there's hope too, because I just heard that Wes Huff, which I'm suggesting in a matter of time today, he comes down here with you guys.
That would be the hope.
Yeah, if we have time.
But
Yeah, if we have time.
he kind of told a story where I guess up in Canada there's still like this local bookstore, and the owner said that there was kids coming in saying, "Do you have any one of those Bible things?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're over here." And it's like, "Cool, thanks. All my friends are reading this thing." And it's like there's this like youthful movement of fascination with the scripture that I hope is just purely divinely God inspired. You know,
I hope so
because
too.
It seems like these kids are reading the Bible like it's a
I think
Harry
with
Potter
the
book.
information
But like kids eat it up, man, because
Yeah.
wait till you get to the part where David's
being
writing that
so
pop up.
readily
That's real
available, and
cool,
so
you
many
know?
so many people throwing out different
Just need to do
ideas and
conspiracy
thoughts
theories.
and everything.
You guys
It's
read
just
HTX. You
makes-
can buy it on Amazon and just gaslight people to read the Bible.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. But yeah, I don't want to bash the Chris Bledsoe guy, but I do find his message pretty dangerous.
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, it
That's
has
my
something.
personal opinion, discernment. It's just,
Would you have him on?
what yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Keep the orbs away.
After I went through his book, like a year ago. I was done with that, and I was like, I really think that Chris just needs to return back to Christ.
Mm.
Like, I don't think he's too far gone from that, and that's honestly my hope, is that at the end of the day, he sees the deception for what it is and just turns back to Christ. 'Cause imagine the testimony that he would have, and to share with his direct followers
yeah.
who follow him so closely. Like, I mean, it could be such a huge thing. The New Age movement that has been around forever is something that was really new to me, and I feel like there's a lot of people who have went from New Age and turned to the faith in Christ, and their testimony is so powerful for those people.
Yeah.
And I think Chris would have the same effect.
Yeah. I mean, a verse that also sticks out a lot is how
I'm at 28%
Satan can
fuel.
appear as an angel of light, you know,
Jeez.
For real.
and like there
think I messed
are
up on the
talks
fuel,
about
huh?
miracles that are performed, and healings that are performed, but it was not through Christ. It was through the enemy. And it's like, it just stinks of that.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Dude, like imagine like modern day, like you go into a church, and let's just be real, most evangelical, and I'll say biblically accurate churches, you're not witnessing anything supernatural, like tangible, nothing tangibly supernatural. Obviously, God works in like the non, like the he's in the quiet voice, and he's not like doing these grand things. So I'm not saying every church where grand things aren't happening is unbiblical. Just to set up the context, that was confusing. Anyways, but like if you go into these churches and not much is happening, and you're a new believer, and you go into a place and you see something like a staff turn into a serpent before your very eyes, you're going to immediately in your head go, they know something I don't, so I need to listen and follow, right? But the reality is it could be Egypt's like sorcerers doing the thing on the stage. And so you think about the deception that can occur in evangelical spaces, as well as, you know, the people who are just spiritual. They're much more susceptible because they're willing to accept anything. But like, it's scary for me thinking about people who don't have discernment, don't truly have the Spirit of Christ, aren't seeking that Spirit in humility first.
Christ has to be at the center. I mean,
Yeah.
it does you prophesied in my name, you cast out demons in my name, you perform many miracles in my name. It's like, but yet your heart was far from me. I think that's how it ends. But it's just like, it's one of those things. It's like, those things can happen. That's literally what we're describing right there. Prophecy, miracles, all this stuff. And it's like, I mean, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day if Christ is not at the center of it.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I'm reading a book right now. It's about the Desert Fathers. So like the early Christians, like 200 AD to 400 AD. These dudes in like Egypt, Syria, these Christian monks. They're like the first monks. They went and just lived in the desert, like in these caves, and they have all these writings and stuff, and their stories are insane. They said their biggest issue with living in these caves was constantly battling demons, because they would get
In the
rid
dark.
of every comfort in their life. So like fasting. Some of them would just sleep 1 hour a night and just pray the rest of the day. And this one that I thought was so interesting, it said this one monk, he came face to face with the devil in his cave, and the devil said, "You beat me because you're so humble." And he immediately plugged his ears and ran away. But it's just like, even with like a good, kind message, like you're such a humble person, that immediately becomes about self, and it's a deceiving thing.
Sure, yeah.
So,
gosh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
The book's fascinating.
That's wild, and it's all based off true.
Oh yeah.
True, wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that really just kind of paints the supernatural realm in reality. That's one thing that I just I don't know. I started when I started the show. I was nervous. I was like people are gonna think I'm crazy for doing the show, and they did. Like I was socially rejected a lot.
Yeah.
But the more that the time went on, the more I heard some of these wild experiences. Like, because I would say that's a wild experience, you know.
Yeah.
The more you start seeing the similarities and you start connecting some dots, you're like, oh, that's interesting, you know, that, everybody wants to talk about these orbs coming out of the sky, and oh, there's an orb in my house. Okay, so now we're talking about somebody summoning an orb, but now there's an orb in the house. Okay, there's a crossover there, and then you start seeing how there's similarities where people have Bigfoot encounters. Especially the trend seems to be, if you own the property and you're experiencing Bigfoot on the property, you often also experience these orb lights on the property. And so you start seeing like the crossover, and I'm just like, man, this is getting deep, and I don't know if I should talk about it because I'm trying to remain as normal as possible, but I kind of threw that out the window years ago. It's just like, whatever.
Well, big red flag for me with Chris Bledsoe's story, was his son was terrified of these things. And like the shadow figures that were in his house and like running around his house, his son was like terrified and would like run out of the house away from him. And Chris was just like, they're here to protect us. It's like, maybe just trust your child. If like, I don't think
it's like every scary movie in the world.
I don't think God's gonna show up in the corner room like.
That is interesting, because I do believe, I think that he even went as far as saying that his son believed they were demons, and it took some time, but he's gotten his son to see that they're angels. And but there's people there's and this is why you're bringing the government side of things and stuff. It's just
Children
like,
are closer to God.
That alone tells me that there are not the government, but there are pieces of the government who have their fingers on this stuff for their own means, whether they're trying to pull strings for their own manipulation or they're actually dabbling, which I do believe they're dabbling.
Definitely.
And there's also people who have pointed to Chris and his thoughts where he doesn't name this person in the book, but just knowing the associations and stuff, I'm pretty sure that Diana Pasulka is the one who told him that what he was experiencing was angel beings, and she's been somebody who's been kind of being propped up, and not saying that in a negative way.
Sure.
But it just seems like she's becoming a little bit of an authority on some things, and I just I don't know. Like when you hear that, you start thinking, you would think she would know that there's a difference between good angels and bad angels and the complexities of this.
Yeah.
Did she not just relay that properly to him, or did she just not know that? It's got a lot of questions, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
This is crazy because it's also like the era where like separation of church and state was a huge issue. However, the government is like dabbling in what we would say is church affairs.
So do you think the government, in your opinion, do you think the government knows exactly what this is and they're hiding it? Or do you think they don't exactly know what it is and they're trying to figure it out?
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of both, depending on who you're talking to. I almost said I don't have an opinion because I'm daddy government. I don't have an opinion.
Yeah,
you know, so.
we're all just joking. We're kidding, guys.
It's a comedy show.
We're
Yeah.
just talking. So I'm going to talk a little more. So I have an interview coming next Tuesday with Congressman Eric Burleson.
Oh, sick.
And I had an opportunity to meet him. I was asked to do a Culture War show with Tim Pool, and Eric was there, and I was like, oh boy, you know, I was like, I don't know if I'm the right guy for this job, you know, because he's disclosure guy, and I'm, hey, things are really crazy guy, and I'm crazy too, apparently. So,
Yeah.
But he and I had a great conversation on the way back to the airport, and we exchanged info, and it took a few months. We finally got him on, and leading up to the interview, I was thinking, oh man, like how do I do this? Like, do I do this like journalistically, which is totally not me,
Yeah.
or do I just go and just talk and see where it goes? And that's what I did, and we went there. Like he started off with the JFK stuff, and I was like, I don't want to talk about JFK. And so
We all know who did it.
yeah. And so I asked him this question, and it was an honest question, because there's a whole generation, and I'm gonna go back to the disclosure thing in a second, but there is a whole generation of people who are adults voting who were born after 9/11. Like
Yeah.
that's the world we're living in with some of these young adults, right? So they don't even care about 9/11. And so I asked him, I said, why should a whole world of people who weren't even alive when this happened care that our own government killed our president, when we all know our own government killed our president before you even tell us, you know?
Yeah.
And he had a really good response for that, but I kind of steered into the disclosure stuff. And I brought up, because I've been in communication with a group, I got to be careful how I say this. There's a group of people who are actively working on infiltrating certain organizations to uncover information as to what's really going on.
Wow.
And the top three guys are Christians, and I've met with all three. Well, I think all three were on the one call, and I met with the one guy in person. And
It's pretty cool.
and according to him, he is purely convinced that what we're seeing going on here is interdimensional, which disclosure is saying that. But he said this is fallen angel technology that's being. And what I found interesting was that was an assumption that I had. I was like, I think this is ancient tech from the fallen angels, all that stuff. But he said it's being gifted to humanity, and he said
That's what Diana, that was her theory
Right.
too, was that it was gifted.
he said that it's being gifted in a way where they allow you to shoot it down. They allow you to bring it in through psionics. It's like it's giving this perception, as far as I'm concerned, with how he believes
Like we're in control.
that we're in control, but it's just like it's being gifted to us, and it kind of takes you right back to that Enoch, first book of Enoch, how like they were teaching us how to do things we weren't meant to know how to do, right? So yeah, I think that the government, to get back to that, but through talking with Eric, he, I believe, is a very earnest person that I don't think he got into politics to peel back the onion layer of disclosure. He just found himself in that situation. And now that he's there, he's on this journey of discovery. But there's this weird thing happening right now where that you have politicians who want to know the truth, but they're doing it in a way because I think they have to. They almost like by the book, like, I'm not going to assume anything here. You have to show me evidence before I know or before I believe. And I think that only takes you so far. But I think there's darker parts. The people who are feeding them information, I think those people, or the ones they work for, are the ones that do know what's really going on, and they're piecing it out to the Congress people. And so we're looking at the Congress people like, tell us what you know. And at the end of the day, what they know is probably just a tiny fraction of what the truth is.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's scary.
It's also a crazy reality that congressmen are basically just one blip ahead of podcasters.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how I
Way
felt.
funny.
I was like, this is crazy. I was driving a truck, man. Like, I shouldn't be in these shoes. You
That's
know?
so funny.
Yeah. You imagine going back 20 years, be like, the people you're gonna want to listen to.
Yeah.
They're just dudes in their basements with MacBooks.
Just hairy men.
Yeah.
I had a question. I forget what I was going to ask.
I think
It had to do with the. Go ahead.
I'll save you until you
Yeah.
remember. But I think it's just important for me on my end of things. I think there's a lot of people who, pursue this knowledge different ways. For me, I've noticed the trend is I just think out loud. I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay being corrected. I tell my pastor that all the time. Like, please tell me if I'm doing things, so he listens intently.
Yeah.
But I think it takes, and maybe that's what my role is in all this. I do think it takes people who don't mind being wrong, understand they're not the smartest person in the room always, and is curious and just speaks what you're thinking.
The moment
And
you
I
think
found
you're the
out
smartest
that I'm a
person in the
verbal
room,
processor, so I naturally do that.
you've become the
Apparently, I don't
stupidest.
think in my head. I think by talking, which is good for podcasting, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just kind of put things out there. I think openly, and I change my mind when I feel like I was wrong. I've done it several times throughout the years.
Yeah. So, in regards to the government, deep state, whatever you want to call them, knowing what they're doing, who they're messing with, what do you think? It's just your opinion, because it's all of us have our own opinions. But what do you think is the end goal of what they're trying to do?
I don't know if the end goal of what they're trying to do is actually whatever they think the end goal is actually what the motive and end goal is. I think that these people are human beings being used by dark entities.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, I'm a very basic person, guys. I'm Romans 10:9. Like, that's the foundation of my life. And so at the end of it, as somebody who is very aware of the war that's going on around me spiritually, I think it's all pointing back to taking humanity away from their gaze on Christ.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a lot of different tactics to doing that. You can do it through the disclosure and the spiritualism. You can do it through the pornography. You can do it through learned behavior of my dad was abused by his dad, so my dad abused me, and so I abused my kid. And all that trauma points away from Christ, because these kids cannot picture what the Father's love is. And so when I come to them and say, your Heavenly Father loves you, it's like, dude, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, get away from me from that. So I think there's so many situations that are pushing people away from Christ. And I think this whole disclosure thing is just one piece of that. But I think behind it all is demonic forces that are manipulating people's minds and hearts.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Demonic distraction.
Demonic distraction.
And deception.
That's your new podcast name.
There-
Boom. We just figured it out.
See you later, confessionals.
Dang. Well, actually, I want to talk about.
Yeah, I was
did you
thinking-
know that the? We got that! Don't go anywhere.
It's crazy.
Time is running out.
What are you talking about? We have plenty of time.
We don't. You don't. You don't.
We have plenty of
You
time.
don't
Let's
have plenty of time, Andy.
For
They
what?
don't have plenty of time. FloridaTorta.com.
What is FloridaTorta.com?
What do you mean? What is FloridaTorta.com?
I'm sorry, I don't know everything. Maybe I just need a refresher. What is that?
How about ninjas or butterflies and the Bible's funny is going, On the road, baby. Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. We're hitting the road doing a live show, and tickets are almost gone. The dates are almost here. It's in October. Go get your tickets.
Still not ringing a bell at all.
You literally have 10 minutes to live. That's what I meant at the beginning, where you don't have enough time. There's not enough time.
Are you being serious?
Why would I
Because
be?
we're filming. Obviously, you're pulling a joke.
I called your family. They're
Okay.
fully aware. You have 10 minutes. What's the last thing you want to say to them?
My family or them?
Your family. They're watching. They're on the other side of this door. They're not allowed to come in. There's a deadly virus in here. And only you were affected because of your fatness.
I don't
All right,
understand
man.
that medically at all.
I'll
I
add you.
don't get it either. That's why we're all being cautious with this.
Appreciate it. Thanks for
And
coming
we don't
in.
want
Channel.
anyone else to get affected. I've been exposed. Andrew's been exposed. But
I'm hoping to make a big fat
Affected.
stack off of this
Well, I
flight.
guess I just want to apologize for leaving you all too soon. And I hope you can forgive me.
FloridaTorta.com. Go get your tickets now, people.
We're listening to a podcast while we're making this flight, so
Wait, 63 people.
ninjas
So one
and
after another.
butterflies.
I figured
Ninjas
that
are
just- there just needs to be
butterflies
some type of
podcast.
closure.
So
Some families just
Yeah.
thanks for being here.
Okay.
We're flying into Denton Municipal.
Chris Bledsoe. Mentioned his name about 20 times.
Triggering
It's a
that
cargo flight. So
It is a crazy story, though.
I'm gonna have to look them up a little bit, but not too much.
Let's stick
I
the
was,
ninjas
I was
on.
telling Tony, that was the guy that
the wind is
did the show
getting
with Sean Ryan, and
crazy
he didn't
though.
air it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
So
you
you've
gotta-
definitely talked.
Yeah.
As you were telling stories, I was like, I think I remember some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you got all
Yeah.
this pressure.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, give me a summary. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, I gotta remember.
Yeah, that was probably a bad idea.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
David and Goliath, man. You really gonna let people defame my God?
Yeah. I mean, it's so. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you said that. So the confessionals, the logo is 6-finger handprint. You know, Nephilim, and it's like I feel like I've established the enemy, and now we're coming out with like a brand that is like a companion to that, and we're gonna call it Slingshot Nation.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's just like
That's
it's gonna
cool.
be all geared towards, you know, we identified the enemy, and now we're identifying the weapon of choice, and it's just kind of like very I'm trying to make it more of like a masculine type thing, and it's like, you know, Ephesians
see
6
that.
kind of thing, you know, and you know, we'll see how it goes. It's a slow rollout right now. I thought it'd be done by now.
What do you think? Like your conviction on what he was like biblically? Like the word is ruddy or whatever, or do you think it was like physical description, or do you, like because he's always depicted as like a 6-year-old scrawny child? I don't.
You're talking about David,
Yeah,
not Goliath.
David. Yeah, David. Yeah, David was scrawny and red hair.
Yeah, you
6
know,
years old.
yeah, I just picture him as a scrawny teenager. Yeah, now that I think about it, he's just a skinny teenager that knew how to throw a stone, you know?
Yeah,
Or 5.
With a lisp.
probably. Probably.
This is seriously, you're in for it, Goliath.
I don't want your suit. I don't need that armor.
I don't need that sword. It's too heavy.
Saul would be hilarious.
Where's my sling?
Saul, where's my sling? He's just speaking in like tongue twisters.
I think he was like a little. I think he was an athlete. I think he was young. I think that's why he was looked on. But the word ruddy is like can be translated like vibrant or full of life. So I just picture him being as like a hot tempered or a hot head, and he just showed up, kind of like Paul. He's like
Yeah.
a very like Paul in the Old Testament, just very like ready to go. And he's like, why aren't you fighting? So kind of like God taking a skill set or personality that the enemy could corrupt quite easily, and he's like, no, just. take
Thanks for
all
the
that
follow,
passion
man.
and point it in the right
Appreciate that.
direction. You're going to be that passionate after my own heart. But so I think David might.
Didn't
have been,
show
he was
up for
killing
some
bears
reason,
and
but-
lions, like separate from the Goliath story.
Yeah.
Followed,
So I think
but
he's
I
just
do
this
appreciate
wild man
that.
in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that
Who
kind of
knows?
even like matches up with how he enters the cave, and he could have took his life and he didn't, you know. And it's just like that. You're right. It seems like this warrior, athletic, you know, just this confidence, like inner confidence of who he is. Maybe, you know, when you have somebody prophesy over you that you're going to be the king one day, you're like, oh, man, I am that, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Had some
I smell
swagger.
good.
I am that guy. I am that guy, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know, I keep doing that to you.
No, you're good.
This episode. You've seen the thing about his robe and what that culturally meant, like what the practice was.
No.
When a king would defeat a king, he would cut part of of his robe and attach it to his
Or
own.
20%
And so,
fuel.
like, you know, the Bible talks about like the throne of his robe fills the temple.
70 nautical
Like,
miles.
The point being, he is King of Kings, conquered all, and so it was an Old Testament practice. And so when he takes the piece of cloth, he's like, "Your kingdom is already defeat, but your life is not mine." So it was a statement of like,
It's pretty cool.
I've been anointed. This is my kingdom, but it's in God's hands and His timing.
See and that's the thing. Like when you start studying the scripture and you find the nuances behind it and all these little details in one physical book that was written over 1,500 years by over 40 authors, 3 different continents, 3 different languages. I'm like, you can't make this up. And I was just talking to this one guy, I think it was last week and stuff, kind of just generally laying out the gospel to him. And I was like, literally from beginning to end, this whole book.
My bad,
we're
I'm
talking about
acknowledging.
Points to one man. And I said, over 1,500 years. The authors didn't know each other.
Yeah.
You know, and like hearing things like that, it blows my mind because it's just like it just lays this like context to things that that's why when you read the scripture, the Holy Spirit can reveal things to you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a storybook like you memorize and you're good. I mean, you could literally memorize the whole Bible and He's still revealing things to you as you go through your life, and it's magical.
Yeah,
It's
for
magical
sure.
in a good way.
Yeah.
the best.
There's another story from that Desert Fathers book, where this
Need to
monk,
read that down.
he was presented a
Desert
little
Fathers.
parchment or like a scroll of a passage from Leviticus, and the other monks were like, "What is this? What's the interpretation of this, or whatever? What does it mean? What does it say?" And all he did was he grabbed it and he just started walking into the desert. Instead, he walked like 30-something miles into this desert, and one monk followed him secretly just to see what he was doing, and said that he just stood there and he started weeping and crying aloud, tearing his robe and stuff, and then like went face down and was saying, "I need Moses to tell me what this scripture from Leviticus means." And all of a sudden, the monk, who was far away, could hear another voice talking to the monk, and then the monk just like turned around and started walking back.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, whoa! Like, did he just talk to Moses?
Speed dial.
I gotta go live in a cave.
Yeah, right.
There was a guy that I went to college with that we were probably 18 years old, and I think it was on spring break, he went and stayed with monks. He just isolated himself, and I was like, that seems so cool, but I'm never doing that.
Dude, it was a hardcore life these dudes had.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's a great book. Everyone should read it.
What's it called again?
I got it over here.
I so happen to have it right here.
Yeah, we're sponsored.
The Saying of the Desert Fathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
The sayings. Let me write this down real fast, guys. The sayings. It's always good to like learn stuff like this. So I guess we've been in a flight time about an hour so far.
Very interesting book. Speaking of Desert Fathers, what about the Dog Man?
Oh shoot.
Transition. You've done a film on the Dog Man, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear all that you know about the Dog Man.
Well, I can tell you what I think I know. Let's start with that.
Let's do that.
So I when I started the show, I was into the Bigfoot thing, and I was convinced that Bigfoot was a thing. I started out looking into it thinking that it was this hairy primate of some kind that we just can't keep up with, and that's why I thought it was ridiculous. I started that Facebook group, and I was like on weekends going in the woods, hiking the Appalachian Mountains. I was like, I'm gonna find this thing. Like if it's here, which I'm pretty sure it's here, it's not that hard. These people are just idiots, and I'm not that smart, you know. But it turns out it was a much more complex topic, and that turned into the Dogman side of things too. When I first heard about the Dogman stuff, when I first started the show, I didn't know what to think.
Rad, how do you play together on this? Like, there's multiplayer,
like a werewolf, and I got chastised for it. Like, it's not a werewolf, it's the Dogman. I was like, what's the difference?
I just
man?
play
like,
career mode,
you know,
really.
I don't know.
Good at fetch.
That's true. Not house trained though.
I don't know what the Dogman is,
I
to be
started having
honest.
people tell me
Oh
their
my
stories,
gosh.
And
What's
I
happening?
did notice a pattern.
Control the
3
plane!
different times. I think it was 3 different times. 2 times it was women, once it was a man, but every time it was in the childhood of this person. It wasn't as an adult. Their stories
losing
were
altitude,
far
too.
less violent and terrifying when they encountered this thing as a child. And you hear people talk about how wild animals view human children differently than they view us as adults. But I forget the details of the two stories of the women, but it was in the sense that like they literally had an interaction with something that treated them like a puppy or something, And I don't know what to make of that. I'm just like, well, there's another episode, It's just like, what? I don't know. And then years later, I had another guy who said that when he was a kid, he went to his friend's house, and his friend said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to my friend." And he's like, "Cool, where's he at?" And he's like, "Get on your bike, we'll go into the woods." And they ride into the woods, and they come up on this old cabin, and he said there was toys, like dog toys and kids' toys on the front deck of this old cabin. And his friend gets off the bike and goes up and looks in the window. He goes, "Oh, good, he's here." And so he goes look inside the cabin, and he said there was an upright standing dog inside the cabin.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck that. I'm leaving.
He said he got back on his bike. He rode away. He never
Hell
went
yeah.
back. But again, that matches a pattern of this kid who thought this thing was his friend and must have had some kind of ongoing interaction with this. And
20% fuel,
that's
58
as far as I
nautical
can go on the
miles.
friendly side of it, because that's all I've ever heard. And it's that it seems to be friendly to kids, and you can go into like what was that in that cabin, like you can go down the road of, are we talking about people who are dabbling in black magic, transforming their body, or giving off even a spell that people are around them perceive them a way that they actually aren't being seen? That's actually a ritual that apparently that happens where they'll wear the skin of a wolf and they'll do a ritual to turn into an upright standing dog. So is it like, are they actually turning into it, or are other people seeing what's being projected? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. But what really set off the Dogman stuff for me was episode 335. I called it Dog versus Dogman. I should probably try to rename it because I think that's just a bad title, to be honest with you. It was this is always the case for me. Whenever I have a story that is just out of this world, I'm like, this was nuts. I never know how to describe it because it's so layered. It's like, what do I name this show?
Yeah, it's like, who let the dogs out?
Yeah.
No, that's not. That's not.
I feel like I've heard that before, But this guy Kyle, he contacted us and he wrote this email out of his experience, and the way he wrote it was so gripping. I literally was getting closer to the computer screen as I was reading. I was like, and then what happened next? And I was just like, this is wild, and I couldn't wait to talk to him. And when we connected, he was extremely nervous. In the first, you wouldn't know because I spent so much time editing this episode. We had to stop several times because he couldn't continue telling the story. And so we finally get it all done and get it out. And the story is that this kid, he was as a kid, 15 years old, going coon hunting in the Kentucky Daniel Boone National Forest. And he was with his grandfather. His grandfather was so old that he couldn't get out of the truck to go hunting with him, with the coons. So they had radios, and his grandfather stayed in the truck. They let the dogs go. Let the dogs out. Who? And Kyle.
Who let the dogs out?
The dogs take off.
Who let the dogs out?
Tracking. And so you listen, and I'm not a hunter, but I learned from him. You hear the dogs.
19% fuel.
When the dogs are barking, you know if they got a raccoon treed, if they're on the scent.
Can you do a quick?
I always wondered what it sounded like.
Yeah, there you go.
And so they got a coon treed, and you can hear there's these coyotes coming in, and his grandfather could hear the coyotes, and his grandfather radioed into him and said, "You better get to the dogs. There's 2 dogs. They had 2 hunting dogs before the coyotes do, or else there's gonna be a fight."
Yeah, it's better
so
they're
the
in
2
pairs.
dogs, Jake and Bo. Jake was the older dog. In fact, Jake was a dog that the entire area knew. He was the hunting dog. And then Bo was a new dog that Jake was training. And you hear these coyotes come in and they start fighting his dogs. And Bo, the younger dog, he said you could hear Bo yep, and then run away and leave Jake alone. And he said you could hear Jake fighting these coyotes, and the coyotes backed off. And then Jake just went back to treeing the raccoon. And then they came back in as a group. It was wasn't just one 1v1 because they were coming in little bits at a time. He said they came in as a group, and he could hear them really getting his dog. And so he's trying to get there, and all of a sudden he hears Jake come back, and the fight changes. These coyotes run off. He arrives on the scene. Jake was treeing that raccoon. He said he was chopping down the tree with his barks, I guess. And he pats Jake on the head, and Bo, being a younger dog, isn't treeing this coon now. He's on the other side of the tree, and so he hears Bo on the other side. It sounds like he's eating a coyote, and so he goes around the tree to congratulate his young dog on a well done fight. And when he comes around the tree, he realizes that Bo never came back for the fight, and what he was looking at was a dog that was so big that it was holding a coyote by this rib cage in its mouth. Like its whole mouth was covering the body, and it was on all four. And he said, I've never seen this dog. Like I've been in these woods my whole life. I know everybody around here. I have no idea where this dog came from, but he said it was the biggest dog he ever saw in his life. And I get the image. I haven't listened to this story in a long time, but I get the idea that it was maybe 10, 12 feet away from him.
Screw
He was
that.
close.
Yeah.
And
I mean, to hear it eat, you would have to be.
yeah, and so when he sees this, he freezes, and this dog sees him, and it stops chewing down on the coyote, and
It
it stares at
senses your
him.
fear.
And then it did something that he didn't expect. It stood up on its hind legs.
Dude.
What?
No, thank you.
So you gotta understand, he's 15 years old. He's hunting a raccoon, so he doesn't have the firepower for this.
Yeah.
I imagine he probably had a 22. I don't know what they hunt raccoons with. Maybe a shotgun, a 12 gauge. I don't know.
No, to mess
but
with the pelt.
this thing stands up on its hind legs, and I remember him saying, like in that moment, how he was trying to
Where
rationalize
the red fern
things. It's
grows,
like,
boys.
this dog standing on its hind legs.
If you
leaning
haven't
against
read
a
it,
tree,
read it.
For whatever reason, this dog standing on its hind legs is really big, and it's just leaning against this tree. And then the dog took a step forward towards him, and he kept his gun, but he took off running, and this thing took chase. And the way he describes the story, I swear it probably took like 15, 20 minutes for him to tell this part of the story that I think probably lasted maybe 20 seconds. Like it was like it's burned into his memory, every detail of it. And he says he's running, and Jake, his veteran dog, interfered, and this thing just batted Jake away like he was just nothing, just kind of tossed him, and kept coming after Kyle. And then Jake came back, and I think bit him somewhere. I don't know if he knows exactly where he bit this creature, but he bit it, and the creature yelled, and he said that this thing grabbed Jake and just hurled him through the woods, and you could hear Jake's body just crashing through trees. And he's
Shit.
like, my dog is done, and I'm done. And he's running, and he trips over like a log or something, and he finds himself on his backside facing this thing. And I imagine it's coming in slower, the way he tells the story, but it's on him. And he said it was so close to him that he could see down the back of his neck. He could see its throat. And he's like, I am done. And then out of nowhere, his dog again comes in and broadsides this thing and knocks this thing over and just viciously starts going after it. And he gets up and he starts running, and he seriously hears this thing just tearing his dog to pieces.
Oh my god.
Like he can just hear it just ripping his dog apart. And I don't know if he actually says this or not, but in my mind's eye, he hits a clearing of some kind maybe. But at some point, I think he said he fired shots in the air, and he's calling for Jake. Come on, Jake, come on. Jake's not coming. And he runs to the truck where his grandfather is, and his grandfather's like, what's going on? And he's like, just go, just go. And so they're flying down this old logging road, and he's telling his grandfather what happened. And they get out of the woods, and after he's done telling his grandfather said to him, listen, if you're going to hunt these woods, you have to understand there are things about this woods that are not normal. And if you can't come to grips with that, you shouldn't be hunting these woods.
Tell him now?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And
Tell him after his
so,
fucking
he said,
dog was tore up.
tomorrow we're gonna come back and we're gonna look for Jake. And he said, Granddad, like, there's no point. Jake is done. He's gone.
Jake's
And
done.
he said, if Jake did what you said he did for you, you owe it to him to come look for him. And so the next day, they went out in the morning, they look for Jake, they don't find him, they're out there all day long. And I guess right around sunset or whatever, they're leaving the woods or no, they went back for lunch, I think that's what it was. They went back for lunch, but before they left, his grandfather left his coat on the side of the road, so hopefully the dog smells him and comes finding him. So they go out that evening looking around, they can't find him, and they're going down the road, and right where the coat was is a dog standing there. And his grandfather's like, look, there's Bo. Bo came back. And so he gets out, and he goes walking over to get Bo in the truck, and it wasn't Bo, it was Jake. He said Jake survived it, and he was torn to pieces, like his ear was hanging off, and just really bad shape. But they loaded him up in the truck, and they took him home, and his grandmother was like the area veterinarian, like she's like the one that people brought their animals to, and she nursed him back to health, and he survived. And he never was the same hunting dog after that, but he did go back out hunting. He just wasn't as good.
Just held back a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
A little weather coming up here.
Is that really a coyote?
Be more of a guide dog kind of feel.
In my day, dogs. But that story was so gripping. I said something to him that I rarely said to people, and that was, if I came, would you show me where this happened? And he said, yeah. And I was like, all right. And so I think it was October of 21, I think it was, maybe 22. I got a group of guys together, just random. I didn't have people that I could that I knew were videographers and things like that, but I just so happened by accident put together the right crew of guys. Like the one guy, he's jacked, and he's carrying around this heavy camera rig in the Indian Forest. Not only that, but he used to work for Glenn Beck, and he actually knows cameras. And I was like, oh,
nice,
perfect. And we went out there for an entire week, and Kyle took us down this logging road. And the problem with that whole documentary, we called it Expedition Dogman because I'm really good at picking titles. We get down. We had a hike because the road was gated off, and we weren't expecting that. He said that he thought it should be open. We could just drive down. But we had to hike down. It was like 6 miles that we had to hike into the woods, and we only got as far as where his grandfather parked the truck, where then he went off into the woods, because Kyle won't stay out there at night, and so we would have to hike in, then hike Kyle back out, and then go hiking back in at night, and then hike back out, and so it was just like a lot of hiking that week.
Yeah.
But things have changed with Kyle. One, he's very busy, so it's hard to nail him down, but he said if we ever do come back up there, he would be willing to stay out at night for us. And so what we'll do is we'll hike into that location, camp there, and then go deeper into the woods the next day. And the mission is to find a dog man. But during this interaction, he said that his dog's collar got ripped off. And I asked him if his dog's collar was metal. He said, yeah. And I said, so theoretically, if we went out there with a metal detector and we found your dog's collar, it would give substantial evidence to the story you're telling us. He's like, yeah, actually, they would. And so that's the goal. I mean, obviously, I want to find a dog man. Like, who doesn't, right? But the idea is to go find the collar. And but that started me off on the dog man thing. And since then,
that would have ended it for me. That was your start. That would have been my end. That would have been cool. Great story. It's called a wrap.
Part of that story is funny because I was driving to Kentucky to do this, and I left at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I remember driving through. I was still in Pennsylvania at the time, and I was driving through central Pennsylvania. There's a bunch of nothing. I'm driving through like these forests, and I'm listening to Tim Pool, and he's talking to a new guy on the scene that everybody knows now. His name is Shane Cashman. And Shane said, because Shane was coming on to start a paranormal podcast, and I was like, oh, this is cool, I'm listening. And Shane said he interviewed a witch one day.
As we all do.
And, yeah.
Well, it's a Tuesday.
For me, it is.
Yeah, it's great.
But Shane said that he interviewed a lady who was in a school of mystery, which is where they teach witchcraft. and this lady told him that they were learning how to open portals, and I think it was the first time she ever saw a portal open. She said an upright walking dog came through.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm driving to Kentucky to hunt a dog man, and I'm like, I look in my back seat, and I had 200 rounds of double-aught buck, and I was like, I don't know if I have enough. I was like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, and that's when, on the way to shoot that documentary, is when I was like, oh, I think this might be falling in that category of more than just a physical thing. And I think it's metaphysical. And since then, there's been a lot of evidence that points to that
things
in my
crossing
mind.
into our
Yeah.
dimension.
What would you say the origins of the dog?
Not dimension like that, but like,
I think about
what
that
dimension,
a lot.
I
was actually
guess,
thinking
like
about
that, like,
I think it was this past
there's a
Sunday,
spiritual
actually, at
world,
church. No,
you know,
it's-
and it
you know, when Pastor preached,
it
you know,
interacts with
actually,
us all the time.
my
It's
manager,
interacting
Derek, was
around
at
me
church
right
this past
now.
Sunday,
There's
so
things sitting
I
on my
was very
shoulder.
engaged, Derek. I was not thinking about Dogman, but I was thinking, like, you know, you talk about the Nephilim and the offspring of the Nephilim, which I think Doug Van Dorn makes the connection that in Mark 5, the tombs where the demoniac man was tombs where the descendants of the buried Nephilim were buried.
Whoa.
And so I started thinking about this idea of how, okay, where do demons come from? Obviously, like, I don't think it's a new thing people to understand where the newer thought process, the old new thought processes of what demons are and stuff.
Yeah.
But in Enoch, and there's biblical evidence for this as well, that they are dead spirits of the Nephilim. So is it possible that you have Nephilim offspring, these giant humans that practice bestiality and supernatural? They're supernatural creations.
Yeah.
And do they have the ability to also create supernaturally? And what do you get when you have the mixture, right? And then I start thinking, when these things die and they become demons, what do they look like? Like, do they retain the form of what they had in their physical bodies? You know, like, this is me thinking out loud. You know.
Yeah.
But you start thinking about that stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, is that a possibility that we're talking about? Essentially, demonic entities that retain the form that they once had. And I'll give you a story here that has to do with Dogman that kind of points in this direction. So in 1936, the Beast of Bray Road. You ever hear the Beast of Bray Road?
Yeah.
So
I have not.
it's in Wisconsin.
We talked about it.
Have we?
Yeah, Elkhorn, Wisconsin. This community was terrorized by the Beast of Bray Road, an upright walking canine. And in 1936, one of the stories that came out was
What's happening
that
here?
there's
My
a
controls
guy
are
who
all
was working
getting
the
wonky.
cemetery,
Everything.
and he was on the midnight shift, the graveyard shift at the graveyard, and he goes out doing his rounds, and he sees this dog digging up a grave. And okay, it's weird, but what's really weird is when it stands up on its hind legs. And he said it just stood there, looked at him, and then went into the woods. And so he finished his night, came back the next night to do his rounds, and again, this dog is back digging up a grave, and he sees this thing. It stands up on its hind legs, and this time it spoke to him. And this is 1936. This man in 1936 recalls this. And he said, it said the word Gadara to him, and then went into the woods. And there's a lot of people, and I'm one of them, that thinks that there's a connection between this thing saying Gadara and the demoniac man, the Gadarene, from Gadara. And where was he at? He was in the tombs, where Doug Van Dorn says the offspring of the Nephilim are buried. And so, why is there in Wisconsin a dogman entity thing digging up graves, saying Gadara, which in Mark 5 we have a demoniac man that has legion, and they're all dwelling among these tombs.
So what is Gadara?
So Gadara, it says Gadara.
Right.
And in Mark 5, it depends on what the translation is. I can't pronounce the one. It's Gazarean. I think is how it's pronounced. But then there's other translations that say Gadarean.
Okay.
And from what I understand, that is because the Gadareans from Gadara.
I see.
And so you have like this dogman, and if you have this dogman entity here in the States digging up a grave, it's almost like he's trying to find the tombs again,
Oh.
where maybe his descendants or
So he came
he's-
through a
speaking his
portal,
lineage.
or
Yeah,
That's
Potentially.
scary.
yeah.
Are we sure you didn't say good dog, eh?
Yeah. Good dog.
Hey, good dog, eh?
So it's a Canadian dog.
it's a Canadian dog.
But that whole thing, that story that I just shared, and then you take Mark 5 and even Mark 4, and I think I'm gonna preach on this actually next time I preach. I'm probably gonna leave the dogman part out.
Well, no.
But when you take it all into account, you have Jesus on one side of the Sea of Galilee, and he's doing his Jesus thing, and then he gets in the boat, and it even says that other people followed. So there were witnesses to what happened next, which was he fell asleep in the boat, a storm comes in, and what I find interesting here is there's several things. One, he's with his disciples. At least 4 of those guys were professional fishermen, and their territory was the Sea of Galilee. So
They
I
knew
think
the
it'd be
sea.
kind of silly for us to think that they never fished and were in the boat during a storm. There was something different about this storm, that they were so terrified and scared that they were going to die. They needed to wake up Jesus for him to do something.
And that alone, just waking up Jesus must have been terrifying. Like, I remember waking up to like my mom, like, just said, like, can I go to my friend's house? And it'd be like so scared, be like, what? It's like, you know what? I don't even want to go.
It's the origins, man, because like
Yeah.
even Jesus himself is like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, he curses the storm stops, and he continues to march forward. And I use the word march forward purposefully because I believe Jesus was strictly on a mission. And we look at this the storm as like a separate incident, but I think the storm was the beginning of what we see in Mark 5, because he gets to the other side and he's already saying things to the demonized man from a distance with that there's this exchange that has happened, and he comes running up to him and why are you here before the time? And that whole exchange that we've talked about over and over again, and he casts this legion, which I think is like at least 2,000 pigs. Or not 2,000 pigs, like because it said there's 2,000 pigs, cast the legion into the 2,000 pigs. So I maybe it's a stretch, but I say maybe there's at least 2,000 demons in this man.
Yeah, I thought a legion was 1,000, but
Okay,
I could
but
be
there were,
making
but in
that
Matthew
up.
there's 2 people. So in Mark there's 1, in Matthew there's 2 people. So maybe because it seems like Matthew's all about the detail. Mark's like, hey, here's the flashing miracle, right? So
Yeah,
maybe it happened to both men. I don't know, but we know the pigs go off the cliff. But then what happens next? He doesn't preach. He doesn't keep going. He's like, all right, let's get back in the boat and go back to the other side. Like he literally gets in the boat and goes to the other side, handles business, and then goes back. Like Jesus was going to the enemy's territory to handle business. They knew it, and he knew it.
Yeah.
And I think that storm was a supernatural storm. When you look in Job, one of the things that happens is Satan actually uses the weather, a storm, to collapse a building to kill his family. So like there's biblical precedent there to say that the enemy can use and manipulate weather for destruction. And I think that storm was a supernatural storm that was being used to keep the Messiah from approaching their banks, their enemy encampment.
Wow.
And he was just marching on a mission because he's a
Crazy.
soldier.
That's crazy.
That's a really cool.
I love that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Satan's the original cloud seeder.
Hey.
It's perfect.
Yeah. That's rad. I really like that connection.
I love when you can look at a whole story and it's so
Yeah.
fluid like that. You're like, that makes total sense. That's a complete possibility.
I think that's the first time I've talked about it publicly. So
Nice.
I'm glad it makes sense.
Hey, Ninjas of Butterflies exclusive.
Yeah.
We could just delete this section and then tell
That's
it
fine.
ourselves.
That's
guys, I'm onto something here.
Got a great theory.
But I mean, I really like. I'm not a scholar. I'm definitely not Heiser, but I
These guys are
listened to a
funny.
lot of Heiser when I was driving truck, and I do operate with this supernatural worldview. And I do find that the more I read scripture today, the more I see things like that, where it's just like I don't really, and I know most people probably do actually. Like we know the Bible wasn't written in chapters and verses, but we read it like that. But when you kind of remove that lens and you just start reading the stories, how especially the Gospels, it's like they're laying out what happened, and you take those chapters away and you just read it as one story. You're just like,
Very
whoa,
specific way.
yeah.
Oh, it's so rad.
I love it. Love it.
So cool.
Can we start talking about Bigfoot? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I had a stroke for a second.
But about Bigfoot.
Is there a Bigfoot story that really sticks out to you? Like, I know those dogmas.
The one
were
I
killer.
had experience with? No.
Yeah.
you?
Have you had? Has there anything happened since you've started? Like, has there been? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, Expedition Dogman launched me into this whole going out and doing stuff, and the guys that I do it with, we're very different. Like, I mean, we range from like I'm charismatic to Ward who's reformed, and we're out here doing this thing, and we all feel in our own ways that like God positioned us here to do these things, and goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I really believe the supernatural realm needs exposure, and there's a hunger for people to understand that there's a spiritual world, and we go out and we do stuff, some crazy stuff that people say is crazy. To us, it just feels I don't want to say normal, but just like meant to do. And we did a documentary out in Washington State called Sasquatch and the Missing Man. And
I hope my game
we went to
doesn't
ground
crash.
zero
It
of
crashes a
the guy
lot
I
when I
mentioned
come
earlier,
in
Wes
for a
Germer.
landing.
The way he got into the topic was him and his
And I
brother
really mean the game
went out
crashes,
on the mountain
not I crash.
after their dad passed away, just kind of blow steam one night. They're just driving around, and they found themselves on a logging road, and they pull off onto even more of a logging road. It's like overgrown and everything, and they're just sitting there, and Woody was debating whether he was actually going to take his vehicle down this road. And he gets out and he gets back in, and Wes is like, dude, don't go down there. Like, let's just get out of here. And then they start hearing people, what they thought was people, walking in on them, on all directions, front, sides, and back. And it wasn't until, and they had guns in the car, so they get their guns, and they're like, did we stumble across a grow op? Like, we're not trying to have problems here. It wasn't until whatever was behind the car growled that they realized, okay, this isn't people. And he said that the growl was so deep that they could feel it in the car. They could physically feel this growl vibrating in them.
Dang.
And they back the vehicle out, and they pull off down the road just a little bit. And Woody pulls over. Their adrenaline's pumping. Like, Wes tells the story way better than me. Like, he lived it. But at this moment, they pull over, and there's these Bigfoot creatures that start coming out of not just one, many. And I think there's like 4 in total. And all ranging in sizes. One was in the tree next to them. They could see the silhouette of it. And the biggest one would like march across this logging road in an aggressive way. Like, almost like trying to like strut its stuff. Like, yeah, you want some of this? You want some? Get out of your vehicle. I promise you, you won't. And another one dropped down on all 4. And he said the way, and it's so hard for me to picture, but he said the way it crossed the road was on all 4, and it didn't walk with its arms and legs like you would think. It literally used its fingers and its toes to walk across the road. Yeah. And so like this story, they come out and they start talking about this story, and they wanted to run in. They wanted to meet other people who they're like, we can't be the only ones that saw this thing. They didn't even know it was Bigfoot at the time. Like, they thought they ran into a monsters until they started looking into it, and they're like, oh, this was probably Bigfoot. They went back up, they found footprints, and so he starts Sasquatch Chronicles, and I asked him, I said, it was like a flyer, because I was like, Wes is not going to have this. I was like, Wes, would you let me come out there and shoot a documentary on your story on Ground Zero? Like, take me there? And he's like, for you, I'll do it. And so we did it, and we went out there, and we documented this journey of going to Ground Zero where this legendary story happened. And while we're out there, we uncovered, the reason why it's Sasquatch and Missing Man is because we actually uncovered a missing person case while we were out there.
Whoa.
At Ground Zero. Like, literally, like maybe 200 feet away from where it happened to Wes. We found this van that was parked there. The camp was set up but not used. We found wheat in the bomb unused. Like, it was just gone. And like the first day we were up there, and we're like, oh, that's weird. You know, when we leave it alone, at the end of the week, it's still there, untouched. And we found Nikes up the trail going closer to where he was at, and they were like fresh Nikes or some kind of sneaker. And And so we're like, there's something on here. So we reported it, and we talked about it on his show. And the guy's ex-fiance that was missing, because he had a tag on his vehicle. We saw his name. I think it was John Guffey or Duffy. And his ex-fiance heard us talking about it and reached out, and we got her connected with the whole situation. And I reached out to her a little bit before we dropped the documentary. And I said, any updates on John? And she said, no, I took possession of the vehicle, but they did search the entire area, and they found 4 dead bodies out there. None of them were John. And yeah, and then like a week or two before we dropped the documentary, a report came out that in that area they found the skull. A biker was riding a bike trail, and he found human remains and a human skull off the trail. And the police were like, "Oh, it's John. It's John." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It can't be John. You searched that entire area like nearly a year before, and you haven't tested anything. You just kind of trying to write this one off." And so I say that whole story because the last night we were there, we're getting back in the last night we were there, we had the most activity. Like something was coming in on the RV that we drove up there, which I do not recommend driving an RV up a mountain logging road. Not smart. But we had tapping, we had whistling. There was something out there that was curious or curious. So we go out.
Hungry is the right word.
Yeah, probably. And at this time we only had one cameraman, and Ward got on the RV because he was going to shoot us getting on the RV. And we're getting on the RV, and me and Joel are the last ones to get on, and we hear that growl. And I can tell you, it was so deep, and I felt it. Joel felt it. And it, like, in a split second, you're like,
beautiful landing.
it's right there. Like, that's how it felt. It was right there.
A little off
so,
center, but beautiful
we turn
landing
around,
altogether.
we don't see anything, and we walk back to the back of the RV, and I'm like, it is right around the corner. It's here. And we go around the corner, and we see absolutely nothing. We didn't see it, but we felt that growl. And it's not the only time that me and Joel had some really crazy stuff happen in the woods. Because one night we were in Tennessee, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. We got charged. It was. Can I tell the story?
Oh yeah.
I'm just telling stories now.
Please, we're on the edge of our seats, man.
What do you mean? Finish the story.
Okay, so we were shooting another documentary, and the worst thing that can happen is you set out to shoot a documentary, you invested money, and the documentary that you're shooting falls through. And so you invested all this money, and you're like, what are we going to shoot? We can't do this documentary anymore. And so we find ourselves in West Kentucky, and I'm mad. I am so angry because I have the whole crew there. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I tell my wife what's going on, and about a couple hours later, she calls me, and I'm like, what? And she's like, hey, now. She's like, I know this isn't a good time, but I know you're going through a lot of stuff, and we just got an email, and this guy is in East Kentucky, and he said that just last night he shot at a dog man. And I was like, perfect, we're shooting a Dogman film. And I was like, boys, saddle up, we're going to East Kentucky. And we found ourselves at this guy's property, investigating it. And then the next night we found ourselves in this cave that goes like miles into the earth. And
no, I'm good. I wouldn't do that.
To enter the cave, the opening was like 15 feet high. The roofs were like 30 feet high. And it just goes back for miles. And that whole trip was absolutely nothing to me because of what happened at the end. We find ourselves down in East Tennessee just trying to chase stories at this point.
Yeah.
And we go to, he's now passed away, Scott Carpenter, and we go to an area where he developed a method where he would hike through the woods and he would have a GoPro and a gimbal facing backwards. So his thought was, these things hide, when I pass by, they peek out. And he had a lot of success with that. And one time, ask L.A. Marzulli when he comes here about this, because he has the video.
Okay.
Scott found a footage on his GoPro of
Let's see how I
this
did, guys.
bubble opening up off the trail as he walked through already, and something manifesting in it. And yeah, and so we go to this area, and we check it out, and we go to one last area, and that's where Scott's actually buried. and it's an area that actually he researched heavily, very heavily, and a lot of experience.
See, I missed the ATC.
And so we're
training
out there,
mission.
we're
That
going down
sucked,
these
bro.
deep trails out in the woods. And earlier that day, I called a guy and told him we were going there, and so he scouted it for us. And he goes down there, and it had just rained, and there's like
That
this
fucks
valley
up your
and a bunch of mud
Fucking
at the
bad.
bottom. And he stops his motorcycle
Everything
because he
is
sees
just a
this
big hit.
giant canine print in the mud. And he took a picture of it and sent it to me. He had a skull can next to it, and his skull can just was like dwarfed by this canine print. And I was like, this is perfect. And so we go there, and we're investigating, and we don't see a whole lot. So Joel and I, it's probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm fighting a respiratory infection, and we're tired. We're kind of deflated. Like, the trip didn't go the way we wanted it to. And I said to him, hey man, you want to go out one more time? Like, we'll just go out and just for whatever. And so he goes, and we go down to that spot where we found the print, and we see these 2 trails going off. And so we went down one trail all the way down to the river, nothing. Go to the other trail, and it's overgrown, and like nothing big came through here. So we're going back to base camp, and we see one trail that we never saw before. And we go down that trail, and we have this smell coming, and people talk about the Bigfoot smell.
Yeah.
And I got sick to my stomach, and I don't know if it was from the smell or the mucus that I had been swallowing all day. And I squat down, and I was doing this like vlog thing where I was carrying a night vision camera on a handheld tripod. And so I squat down, and I set it up, and I'm just facing me, and I'm squatted down, and we're lights out. And so I can see myself on the screen, but that's all I can see. And then it's completely quiet, and we hear something bipedally walking in the woods behind the camera, like maybe 20, 30 feet away. And I'm like, you hear that, man? And he's like, yeah, I hear that. And so I forget the logistics of how this whole thing played out, like when we hit the lights, but I stood up, and you see me from like torso down on the camera.
Over here.
And we have a shotgun microphone, so it's picking up the audio towards us great. You know, you guys know it's not meant to pick up the audio behind us.
Yeah.
So we're standing there, and I believe we hit the lights at this point. I can't remember. But all of a sudden, we hear something running at me. And it was just like, boom, 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 just charging heavy. And like Joel yells, I had a 10 millimeter on my hip. I pull out my 10 millimeter and I point. He must have hit the light at this point, but I look, and it runs right up to the camera that I'm standing in front of, like 5 feet in front of me. And I'm looking, and there's absolutely nothing there. I see absolutely nothing, but we both heard this thing charge. And then we're standing there confused, and like 20 seconds goes by, and all of a sudden we hear behind us in the woods this loud, high-pitched scream, just as like, ah! And my brother Jack and Ward were back at base camp, and they heard it. And they radio in, and they're like, what are you guys doing? Like, they thought it was us messing around. And I'm like, it ain't us. And I pick up the camera, I'm like, we out. And as we're walking, all of a sudden, you hear us say it on camera, we're radioing back to Ward, and we're like, there's a bunch of monkeys going off around us, because all of a sudden after the screen we hear this like a bunch of them.
Fuck?
And I was like, in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? So we book it. We get out of there. We get back to base camp. Some owls flew over us, freaked us out a little bit. Owls. And it's always the owls, man.
Dude.
But
They became owls.
You say what you think is jokes. We get back and we analyze the footage. Now, Jack was there, and he can attest that he heard monkeys. I heard monkeys. When we listen back to the audio, the charge that I said happened, we caught that on audio. You hear it run up to the camera. You hear the scream, scream. We pick up the camera and we're getting out of there. You hear Joel say over the radio, there's monkeys going off in the woods. But what you hear on audio sounds like owls. Yeah. And I was like, listen, I know barred owls can sound like monkeys. What I heard, was I in my head at that moment? Maybe.
But you both said monkeys.
But everybody heard monkeys. But on the audio, it's owls.
And if anyone watching is like a hunter, I want to know, because in the woods, you hear them, but it's typically they talk to each other. So one will sound off, and then there's a period of silence and then the next one, and it kind of slowly. That's been my experience hearing. So I would love to know if someone's heard, like, just for the argument's sake.
Yeah,
I don't
for
think
sure.
the argument's there, but
I'm
if
fine with the
somebody
argument.
if somebody has heard owls like in gang vocal, like all
So they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
So where can they find this footage? What is the Dogman?
So we haven't released that documentary
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
The Sasquatch and Missing Man is right now only available on my OTT website, merkelfilms.com. They can stream it there on demand. But that film, the punchline to that whole story is we decided we were going to shoot that documentary, reshoot it. And we were going to start out with that action and be like, how did we get here? You know?
Yeah.
And then
so
we were,
this is me. I bet you're probably wondering how I got it.
So we were gonna spend an entire week in that area, and this is public hunting land, okay?
Yep,
It's
that's me.
TDA.
But
It's
you're
been
wondering
that
how I
for
got here.
forever. Just 2 weeks ago,
I need
got
one
a
of
text
these, but
message from my
holy
friend
shit.
who found that giant canine print.
Yeah.
He said, "Dude," and he sent me a picture, and on
2 million?
on the picture there's a gate going across this trail going in there, and it says federal property, no trespassing.
Dude.
What are we doing?
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Does that not validate
Yes.
just everything?
The government involvement. And here's the thing. I had just talked about this on a recording that hasn't come out yet, but I had a guy, Stacey Brown, in the studio last week, and I told him that, and he said, you shouldn't have talked about it on the show. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. Because I'm over here like, I'm Tony the podcast with the confessionals. They ain't listening to me. It's story time with Tony. Dude, I'm so angry about it because like I can't go in there unless I want to catch a felony.
That's insane.
Catch a felony.
The owls
Take the fucking
flew
risk.
over
Take
after listening
Take
to
a fucking felony. I would
monkeys.
take a felony in a heartbeat
like,
if
we
it
were
meant
at base
uncovering
camp, and
something
I think it was
that
at
they're
least
trying
once,
to
but I think
hide.
it was twice. Owls like scooped down right over our heads.
It's the flying monkeys, dude.
Dude.
Yeah.
I have a big fear of owls. I hate owls. They scare me so bad.
Owls are
Really?
my
I think
favorite.
they're evil.
Okay.
I thought
That's
I saw
crazy.
an owl in here.
Yeah, people
did.
send us owls. I mean,
There's one right over your shoulder, dude.
yeah,
Man, that's a scary story.
that's crazy.
It was terrifying in the moment, but after you get through it, like when I picked up the camera to hike out of there, I thought I was gonna die. Like I was like, this is everything I've wanted, and I don't want it now, you know. But once I got out of there and I got like literally in the truck, we're out. I'm like, yo, when can we go back?
Whoa.
Like, and we went
Never.
back. we went. You know what's crazy is we went back to shoot in Sasquatch and the Missing Man. There's a reenactment of the scene. We shot the reenactment there because we could take the truck up the trail and have it in the remote woods and everything.
So I can take both
So
of those.
They
get
were shooting.
those,
It was freezing
get
outside.
Jet airline
and since I didn't have anything to do, I wasn't an
transport.
actor, and I was just kind of like, I don't know the.
Or I can
the
do
boss of the scene.
737s
I stayed
and
in the
stuff.
truck with
That's gonna take
my
some
truck
fucking
running, nice
training.
warm, and I called my parents. I'm like, hey, so what's going on? You know. And I start hearing like this loud clicking outside, and I'm like,
This is
that?
what
And
I
it's like,
need though. I
cracked
need
my
one of
window,
these.
and
I
I
wonder how
don't know
much
if
one
this
of
is
these
an
are.
insect or what. It didn't sound like it, and I've had other people in the area hear this as
I
well,
wanna
and nobody
do
seems to be able to identify it.
this.
But it sounded like the predator clicking,
Oh my
Oh no!
gosh.
and
Not the
it was
predator.
so loud. It was so loud that it clicks with the window open, and my parents are on the phone, and my mom, like, listen, I'm almost 40. My parents don't boss me around. My mom goes, put your window up right now. And I was like, yes, Mom. And I got out of the truck and I went and found the guys and I was like, so what's up? I was like, I don't want to be down there by myself, you know?
That is so crazy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of mysterious things out there in the world to be found still, and treasures to monsters. And I just, for me, I like the adventure of it. And
Yeah.
that's why I do it. I feel like I'm living out Indiana Jones stuff, you know? I just enjoy it. So that's what I do.
That's amazing.
There's no way I could handle that.
Dude, I hate that
fuck
we
is
did
super
this
heavy?
podcast. I've been hunting a pig for the last
The
year, and
beluga.
yesterday I walked in the woods at 4 a.m. and just doing that in the pit shark, we actually jumped the pig and heard. I mean, we knew it was a pig. We knew what we scared off, but even knowing what it is and being like meet you away from a 300-pound pig is terrifying. If I saw, like, I don't want to go in the dark knowing there's, something I can shoot and kill. I don't want to do it.
Dude,
So
if we-
not a chance.
If we had Corey on this podcast, he would pee his pants.
Oh, I know. Dude, I was walking
1000%.
this morning around my neighborhood, and there was a cat, and this cat was just staring at me. And I was so afraid of this cat. And I kept walking, and it just started following me down the road. I'm like, get out of here! I started running full speed, just looking behind, and it was a cat.
I love that you didn't plan on running. It was just like it turned into a run.
Yeah.
You come back, Lily's just proud of you.
Yeah.
Say
Wow,
nothing.
so fast. Like, yeah, I know. The cat.
It's so lock the door.
Oh man. Well, hey Tony, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
Scaring us.
Where can everybody find all your stuff again?
I point people to YouTube these days. When I started the podcast in 2017, I didn't even mess with YouTube. I was like, YouTube's not gonna be around much longer. They're canceling Alex Jones. Like they're gonna be canceled. And so I didn't try with YouTube for the longest time. I was audio only. I moved to Tennessee. I went full time podcasting, just doing audio. And 2 years ago, we started doing YouTube for real. And I think we're about to hit like 250 now. 250.
Heck yeah.
250 subscribers, not 250,000. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
I'm very proud. But no. So we've seen a lot of growth and success, and so I just point people to YouTube. Go to YouTube, and there you can find links for everything. But hit the subscribe button.
Yeah,
there.
please go subscribe.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
Professionals podcast.
Very good stuff.
Do you have enough time to stick around for a little half episode right after this?
Yeah, of course.
All right, sick, because I want to talk about something to do with Nephilims that you talked to somebody. It's a crazy story. So patreon.com/ninjas or butterflies or YouTube membership now.
Absolutely. Exclusive content,
Oh, wow.
discounts on merch. What's not to love?
What's not to love?
What's
Hey,
not
go
to
get
love,
your
guys?
ninja merch at
Hey, man.
syndicalswag.com. We got a
Look,
new camo hat.
that was a good flight. That was a good fucking podcast. Ninjas are butterflies. Y'all check them out. For sure. Check them out. When this comes up on YouTube, I'm gonna stop the stream in a little bit. When it comes up on YouTube, I'll put the link to this video in the description if y'all want to go check them out. Give them a subscribe. Give them a like. Great guys. I think Josh's wife wasn't there this time, but I heard about that in the podcast I watched yet last night, which was also a very good one. Yeah, but I'm gonna take a break. And we'll get back into some more Flight Simulator, I think. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming in. If you came in, thank y'all for watching this. If you're watching this later on YouTube, so I appreciate it. Thank you.